Hey everybody, and welcome to my studio. I'm Angela R. Sasser, and this is my monthly studio hangout for September 2017. And if you've never seen one of these videos before, I like to hop on and talk about how my month's been, tell you guys about new art I've been working on, and talk about art, life, and beyond. So stay tuned for new art, inspirations, highlights, and more. So let's get to it. So first up, how was my month? Well, it's been much more chill than the last month where we had DragonCon going on, and I feel like I've finally gotten some sleep. So sleep is good. I like sleep. So you folks who did Gen Con and Wizard World and whatever other events that happen right around DragonCon, you get mad respect for me because I could barely just handle DragonCon. It was such a huge con. It always is. Always a lot of stress. So I'm glad for peacefulness and quietness and a semblance of a normal schedule again, so we'll see how long this lasts. Oh yeah, and then there was a hurricane. Yep, we had a hurricane blow through here. Actually, by the time it reached Georgia, it was a tropical storm. But I remember waking up and reading the news report, and the news report said squalls. And that's the first time in my life that I read squalls on my forecast. So, squall. I had to actually go look that up because I couldn't remember what a squall was. Squalls. Okay. Here's some footage of what I was doing when Irma blew through. So as I was hosting my giveaway, Irma also decided to land. Bring it, Irma, you're not stopping my giveaway. Well, Irma's here. This is about 3:44 p.m. in the afternoon, late afternoon, and it is gusty and rainy, but so far we're safe. None of these trees have decided to fall down, and that is a good thing. So, shoo. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to do art. Irma's blown through. Lucky us, it's just a bunch of branches and leaves.
Don't
Say
believe her
hi,
lies.
honey.
We're all dead. Dead!
Oh,
Dead!
is this the afterlife?
Yes.
There needs to be more chocolate.
Dead! Really?
So yeah, that's our damage. Some down branches. Oh, there's so many branches, but no trees, so we're good. Bye, Irma. We don't miss you. Never come back.
Irma, come back. I love you.
So yeah, Irma wasn't so bad for us. We got really lucky because the next day we walked outside and there were branches stabbed straight into the ground and trees fallen in neighborhoods across the way. But luckily, nobody seemed hurt. And I know we're really lucky. We had power within a few hours, but other people haven't been so lucky with Irma and with Maria, especially the Puerto Rican side of my family. We're still waiting on word from them. So September has been rough on a lot of people, and if you feel like you can help monetarily, I'll put some links down in the description of this video where you can donate. There are plenty of places that are accepting donations right now, or if you want to volunteer. So those are things that we can do right now to help other people. So let's do that. It's when terrible things happen like this that I'm glad that I can still put something beautiful and that will bring some light into people's lives back into the world. And that's one thing I really love about my job, being an artist. And on that note, I wanted to bring things back around to some of the art that I've been sharing this month. So let's take a look at that. This month, I finally finished the first set of concepts for Kalara Vadras, my gunslinging business lady inspired by the character I roleplay in the Exalted tabletop game. I've explored so many elegant and beautiful fashions that suit her sense of class and style that it'll be hard to choose which look will define her casual clothes. More exploration is needed in her formal and business sets I'll be working on next to decide on a final look for her casual attire. I also streamed as I worked on this image, which you can also watch here on YouTube if you'd like to watch these concepts come to life while I chat about character randomness and adventures. Next, I finished the Lady of August for my Birthstone series, representing the birthstone of Peridot and the birth flower of the poppy. I went with a River Priestess inspired theme for her,
using the color inks to produce a layered effect. Like many of the other ladies, she has a story inspired by the holidays which take place during her season. In Lady of August, I drew upon the themes of Oban and the journey of the spirits back to the land of the dead. She acts as a guide and protector along the way for these spirits. If you'd like a deeper look into the lore, research, and technique of this painting, pledging just $1 on Patreon grants you access to my secret sketchbook where I share more of my creative process. And it also allows you to join me on my journey through this series. Now that the Lady of August is done, I only have 2 more paintings and 1 mask left in this series. It feels immensely gratifying to be so close to the end. I'm also excited about the fact that I've finally defined a logo for this Birthstone series, which my good friend and artist Sam Hogg worked up into an illustration. I love Sam's painterly touch. She brought such glow and life to my logo in an image I've dubbed the Lady of Eternity. Everything's coming together to make my Birthstone project a polished and amazing brand and experience. I'm also celebrating the Lady of Eternity's arrival with these beautiful gold foil accented limited edition prints. Here you can see me signing and numbering each one. They'll be placed in a special linen envelope sealed with wax. I can't wait to see what people think of her when she arrives to them in the mail.
So you saw a little bit hint of the Lady of Eternity in the video there, but I wanted to introduce her to you in person. Look how shiny this print is, you guys. Oh my gosh. It's so gloriously shiny, and this print will be given away to anyone pledging on my Patreon at $20 and up, in addition to the rewards that you will receive in that tier and above. So there's only 100 of these though, so if you want her, you got to get her before they're all gone. So pledge on Patreon and you have access to either buying this outright, or if you pledge at 20, you'll get her for free. So check it out. I'll put a link down in the description.
Here's a closer look at the gifts I'll be giving away to my Patreon patrons from now until December, including postcards and magnets.
The power of magnets! Although seriously, the magnets are pretty swank. Here it is. This is the 3-inch round magnets that's going to all my Patreon patrons who are pledging at $5 and up. And it's 3 inches, not too big, not too small, just the right size for your fridge. And also it's a quality premium magnet, so not thin magnet, doesn't hold up anything. This will hold up some cards, and it's swank. You know you want it. Ah, but some of you might have noticed that I am also wearing a t-shirt with the Lady of Eternity on it. So if you like to not only appreciate your Art Nouveau in 2D form, you can wear your Art Nouveau and show that some of that loyalty and pride and support for my Ladies of the Month project by getting one of the t-shirts. She's available in my Redbubble shop on t-shirts of various styles and colors. So go check that out. I'll put a link in the description. So now it's time for a little Q&A. This is one of my favorite parts of the video where I answer questions from viewers just like you. So if you have a burning question you want to ask me, drop it in the comments and I'll get to it on the next video or any of the future videos that'll happen for my studio hangouts. And if you are a Patreon patron, you will have your question answered first in the question queue. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge. This first question is from Vanessa, who asks, when you're writing for your own IP, that means intellectual property, or your Exalted character, what comes first, the visual or the narrative? So that's a really great question, Vanessa. And to be more specific, Vanessa's referring to Kalara Vadras, the Eclipse cast I play in Exalted, who you guys saw earlier in this video that I made the concept sketches for. And she's an interesting character because her inception came first when I created her to roleplay in a tabletop game. So the story structure for the world was already there, and I just got to play around in it with my character. And her concept was very simple. It actually was a scene that came into my head because with Solar Exalted, like what she is, they are defined by a moment of tragedy or passion that causes them to become empowered by the sun god or the creator god in that world, and they're imbued with purpose and power to change the world. So for her, when I thought about that moment, I instantly got the mental image of a young woman who wanted to change the world, but she failed. And in her deepest, darkest moment, that's when this God came to her and lifted her up off of the cross that she had been crucified on. And it was a pretty amazing mental image that came to mind, and from there the story for her just flowed out. She's one of those characters that's just inspired so much. Usually when I'm having insomnia and I need to do something, I just get up and I write on her story. So it's been this whole circle of inspiration from the world that's been pre-made, but learning about that world inspires events in Kalara's life, which then inspires visuals like concept art that I'm using to define her world and to bring to life a narrative that I feel that actually scratches a few itches for me. Like I want a cool female protagonist. I love gunslingers. I love that Kalara just is pretty atypical. She's not very girly. She's straight up badass business lady, and it's just pure fun. If you've been seeing a lot of that art for The Uncrucified, which is Kalara's story, it's really just what I do outside of work to have fun because I'm a big geek and I love role-playing games. And role-playing games have been part of my inspiration as an artist for many years now. I've played Vampire the Masquerade, I've played Shadowrun. I do original work as well, but role-playing games and just getting right into the head of a character, like physically, have been such a huge part of my inspiration as a writer and as an artist. So I hope that answers your question. This next question is from Caitlin, who asks, how do you decide which classes or workshops to take? Are there any favorites? So the core of this question is, how do I decide what classes I'm going to take? And first of all, budget for sure is a concern. So because I don't have the biggest budget, so I really do have to choose these carefully. So that means a lot of places like Schoolism, which give you a smaller monthly fee in order to take continuing education classes there. That works really well for me, as do the Control Paint classes, which are all, you can see a lot of Matt Core's videos for free or low cost. They're very, very cheap. So it's, for me, I like to go cheap. But when I want to make a bigger investment in a class, I like to know more about the professor. And what I mean by that is that I like to know more about a professor's work, if their interests line up with what I'm trying to do with my career, if their philosophies on creativity and art are close to my own, and also I like to know that they have a speaking voice that's not going to put me to sleep, because that can be a problem too when someone has a lot of knowledge but they maybe don't have the best way of teaching or presenting their work. And then lastly, I like to be able to trust my professor. If I can meet them in person and get a sense of who they are as a person, it's always nice to have a rapport and to be comfortable with talking and accepting criticism from someone if you're more comfortable with them. So that's definitely, try to meet your professors if you can get out to conventions, or if you've interacted with them online in their social media outlets. So that's something I like to do. Alas, all good things must come to an end, unless you are a Patreon patron. If you're one of my Patreon patrons, you can go to Patreon right now and watch the Patreon extended edition version of this video. It has behind the scenes peeks at what I've been working on all this month, including a list of manufacturers on all of the cool goodies that I talked about earlier that are being given to my Patreon patrons. So Pledge as little as $1 and you can get access and watch all the behind the scenes silliness and the resources that I like to share. So check it out. For now, this has been my monthly studio hangout. I hope you've had fun hanging out with me. I'll catch you next month.
If you enjoy my art, be sure to check out my site at www.angelasasser.com for more. Thanks for watching. Wishing you all inspiration.